Hi folks, and welcome to the Daily Analysis. Today is Friday, August 24th, and so today I thought we'd go over some weekly charts since obviously today's the last day of the week, and I don't think we've looked at weekly charts in the analysis in quite some time. So I just kind of wanted to give you a long-term perspective on some of the things that I'm looking at, and I know for me in my personal trading, stepping out, taking a larger look at some of the weekly and even monthly charts sometimes really provides some clarification on what directions make the most sense for a given pair. So I'm going to go over this weekly analysis. It's probably not going to take too long because obviously there's not as many bars in a weekly chart to look at. So not as much going on, but probably less noise and more clarification to be found. So hopefully this is going to give you a really good platform to judge the general direction that you might want to take certain pairs in over the next week and even the next few weeks. And I'd love to get some comments and some thoughts also on what you're thinking of on the really long term. All right, before we jump into that, let me bring over our terms so that we can go over that. All right, guys, these are the terms and conditions for Winner's Edge trading for the analysis. We go over these every time we do analysis because we have to be very upfront about what the government expects out of us, and the main thing that they expect is not to claim that we are licensed or qualified to give investment advice, and that we're not qualified to tell you how to risk your money. In order to do that, we'd have to have a special license, which we don't have. So this is just for educational purposes. It's just our personal views on the market. All right. Okay, so the first weekly chart I have up here, and you guys don't forget that these are all weekly charts, is the euro dollar. And when we look at the euro dollar on a weekly chart, obviously depending how far you go back, it's overall a downtrend. And we've made that very clear in basically every analysis that we've done for the past several months. But it's important to take that outside look and see how down it is on the weekly as well. And if I pull back here just a little bit, let me see, just a little bit. Okay, there you go. We can see that on the weekly chart, before it got up into these prices, it was in an uptrend. It was heading up. It got up in here in the 1.5. Once it got up near 1.5, the trend did switch back into the downward direction, and we started seeing a lot of bearish momentum. And what you notice when you look at weekly charts is that there's runs that cover a lot of pips. There's pullbacks, there's runs that cover a lot of pips, there's pullbacks, and there's runs, okay? So basically it's like any other chart. You have these pullbacks, you have these moves, and the only difference I would say on the weekly charts is that there tends to be less noise. For instance, when you get a run like this, say on a 4-hour chart, you might have a red bar, a blue bar, two more red, a blue, it's a little less consistent. When you get a nice run on a weekly chart, there tends to be very little fight the other way. One little bar here, one bar here on this huge long run, and then here we had a little bit of a step up, almost a full month of trying to build up before it made it a lower low. So you don't get the the back and forth as much on a weekly chart. Now here we got a lot of back and forth, and this was a tough few months to trade because you can see that there was no definite direction here, just none to be found, and that makes trading tricky, especially for someone like me who likes to look for those trends, those momentum trend continuation patterns. That's my favorite kind of pattern to look for. So when the market's doing this, that makes it tricky for me. Not to say there's not still trades to be found in there, but it's just not as easy, it's not as straightforward. So in the market, what we're looking for is runs like this. And if you know technical analysis, obviously one of the first things you learn is that the best time to get runs like this is after a pullback. So we have a pullback, for instance, here, and we get a run. Now you can get them out of a pullback or also out of a breakout. Here's a breakout run. Here's a pullback run. They both, very similar. You expect a lot of momentum because price is getting vacuumed from going the other way. Here was more of a breakout setup than a pullback, and here was more of a pullback for a lower low. So my question to you is, this current breakout to the upside here, which again, notice that this is obviously a counter trend breakout. Is it a pullback getting set up for another strong leg to the downside to hit prices below 1.2, maybe even making a run towards parity? Or is it a breakout that is actually going to start a momentum run to the upside? That's my question. And to be completely honest with you guys, I haven't made up my mind. I have been a firm believer in this idea of short the euro anytime that you get, a bearish move. I just want to short the euro, short the euro, short the euro. But at the same time, you have to realize that for price to get all the way up here, the euro had some pretty massive bullish runs. So with that in mind, maybe we're in a long-term sideways market that's heading all the way up, back and forth, and right now we're at a low point where it needs to make a run all the way back up. And if that's the case, imagine the amount of money that you're going to make if you're one of the original longs all the way down here. I mean, imagine if this makes a multi-thousand pip run. So that's my quandary with the euro dollar. Now, obviously, I'm going to wait and see, how price continues to react because I haven't made up my mind yet. But I just want to be thinking about that and trying to gain all of the information, all of the fundamental information, all of the technical information that I can, so that I can make a wise decision on my long-term sentiment. Because I think if your long-term sentiment is in the right direction, the rest of your intraday and daily trading is a lot easier. It's a lot better, and of course, it's a lot more profitable on the euro dollar if your long-term sentiment is correct on the euro dollar. Now, I'm just using the euro dollar as an example because we have this specific breakout happening right now, but that's of course true on every pair. And obviously all the euro pairs, you're deciding whether they're bullish or bearish right now, and all of the dollar pairs you're deciding whether they're bullish or bearish right now. So, even though this is one pair, the euro obviously stretches across several pairs and the dollar stretches across several pairs. So making your analysis on the euro dollar can certainly affect many other pairs. Okay, guys, so that's kind of what I'm thinking right now on the weekly chart, and trying to kind of make up my mind as to what I think is happening with the euro dollar. Right now, like I said, I think it's in a breakout pattern, but I don't necessarily believe that it's breaking out for sure. I think this could absolutely be a fake out. There's definitely a lot of resistance coming up. That line's a little crooked. The resistance is more up here. But it's gonna be tough for me to decide whether I believe in this euro strength or not. I think it's very possible because the currency markets, they trick you like that. When all else is saying it's going down, it's going down, it's going down, the euro dollar will fly up 2,000 pips over the next several months. Because that's just what the markets do. That's why they beat up traders. That's why such a minority of traders is winning in these markets. So I would encourage you to zoom out and take these long-term looks and really be confident in your long-term analysis so that you can use that to be more profitable and more effective in the smaller time frames. All right, guys, I hate to waste so much time and stay so long on a certain thing, but I just wanted to really drive that home that these long-term analysis, these long-term trends, in my opinion, are really the overall thing that will drive your success on the smaller time frames. All right, I'll run through the rest of the pairs much quicker. Let's look at the pound dollar. The pound dollar is a similar breakout. However, the retrace is more significant today than it is on the euro dollar. The euro dollar is bearish today too. It reversed, but not quite to the extent as pound dollar. So the pound dollar looks maybe that this is a fake breakout and it's headed back down into this consolidation period. So that's something that we will check out as well. Also notice that the pound dollar is much more sideways overall than the euro dollar, which had a very significant trend. Okay, US yen. We mentioned that the US yen, we mentioned that the US dollar was bearish. Okay, so because the US dollar is bearish, obviously according to the euro, we can see that it's also bearish on the yen. So that provides more support that maybe it's more dollar weakness than just euro strength. So with the dollar weakness, the U.S. yen is kind of getting back down into this area where it was at for a decent amount of time in this area. So if it gets back down into there, it'll probably be a lot of range trading again. So keep an eye on whether it hits the top of this level and bounces back up, or if it gets right back down into this level. That'll obviously affect your trading significantly. Odd dollar. Now, odd dollar is one that really faked me out, to be honest. I thought that after this massive bearish week, that people were going to jump on short, and then the market was going to bounce up and crush people. Now, you can see that the market did bounce up to some extent and probably stopped a lot of people out, but that was actually the fake out, it looks like now. So it looks like, okay, bearish, lots of people jumped in. Okay, it stops them out. People are jumping in bullish. Boom, stops them out again. And that's often what the market would do. So now it's looking like this is actually a very nice long-term bullish setup. Wow, sorry, that was a horrific line. It's off resistance. The tail poked through and now is showing a lot of downward momentum. So to me, that's actually looking like a great long-term bearish signal. Now again, it's always tricky to short a pair before it's really gone past the first Fibonacci level in an uptrend. But the tail itself is looking awfully ripe for a short. So take a look at that. Let's look at Euro Pound here. Euro Pound, again, another pair that's obviously very trendy as of late. You can see the massive downtrend over the past several months, and it's working on a breakout here. Now, this breakout is still in somewhat of a triangular shape, so it's not a full breakout. However, it has definitely broken this trend line with a lot of authority, and it's now a good amount of pips above that trend line. So that's looking like a Euro Pound long 2, but you got to be careful with this resistance level here. So if it breaks that level, man, that is going to be a great long-term long in my opinion. All right, EURUSD is one that we looked at a lot and noticed the long potential as the odd was weakening. As the odd was weakening and the euro was gaining strength. I got a comment today, in an email that said that they'd taken the euro odd long and were up about 110 pips on that, still climbing. So this is looking like a great long bounce off of our last level of support and just a massive jump to the upside. Now this resistance will be critical and we'll see how it reacts there, but it's not out of the question to expect EURUSD to break through the resistance and continue up. Remember, the EURUSD is used to much higher prices. It's used to being up here. Okay, so that's not out of the question for EURUSD. Keep that in mind. All right, Pound New Zealand. Man, Pound New Zealand is faking me out of my mind. I can't make up my mind what I think about Pound New Zealand. Let me zoom all the way up here. Okay, this is very close, obviously, but look, Pound New Zealand in a downtrend, reverting back to the downside, right? Everyone's jumping short. Okay, it starts channeling, no big deal. We'll just wait for the next short. All right, here's our continuation. Everyone jumps short. Nope, heading back up. Now, the question is, it's right back in the channel. So is this just a fake to the downside, a jump back up, and it's going to continue? Or is this actually building a base to head back up? That's my question. I don't know. Pound New Zealand is really being tricky, and I honestly don't have a long-term view on this because I just, obviously my sentiment long-term on the Pound New Zealand is short. You can just see that, the longer you go back, the more of a downtrend it's in. But with that being said, the Pound New Zealand has rallied multiple thousands of pips to the upside like this several times in its past. So, that is very possible here. I don't want to be on the short side of Pound New Zealand when it has a 600 pip day to the upside. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be something that you got to continue to watch. And I really don't know what to expect here. I guess if this, retrace stops dead and it tracks next week and we get a continuation, then I'll be back on the short side. But if it continues to just have these consistent small bars to the upside, it's going to be scary to jump on long because there's not a good signal. But I certainly don't want to short it either because if it just keeps continuing, it can break to the upside more at any time. So that'll be a tricky pair to keep an eye on. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there, but I'll keep you updated on that. Alright guys, that's about it for the analysis. Hopefully some of those weekly charts gave you a good thing to look out for. I know that I didn't really make a lot of definite predictions on the weekly charts, to be honest, because I'm really not sure what I'm going to do. I just most of them I'm just going to have to be patient on and really try to make up my mind based on good technical information and patience in the market. And I think that would probably be wise for you as well. If you have any comments or thoughts or information for me, please feel free to leave that, and I'll definitely be in contact with you soon. Thanks.